back to my channel. This is Tiny Homeschool. Lamide here once again. Um, this video, I'm going to be addressing one question that a lot of people have been asking me in the last, I want to say maybe year or two that I've started homeschooling. And that one question is, how do I homeschool? How do I get started? What do you mean you homeschool? What does that process look like? So I'm going to be addressing it from the perspective of a Maryland resident, because homeschooling looks different from state to state. If you're resident in the United States, some states require certain things, and some states don't require certain things. Again, please consult the homeschool. I think it's hslda.org is the organization that actually is the that I would say gives more accurate legal guidance in terms of how to do it per your state's requirement. This is just how I have been able to get started in my state, and it may look different from where you're located in your state. Okay, so note that. So, first things first, I want to say that think, and if you are a Christian, prayerfully consider it, because I have come to find out that perhaps homeschool is not for everyone. It may not be for you as much as you admire it, as much as you appreciate it, and as much as you see the value in it. I believe that you really have to have conviction about homeschooling. It has to come from a place of conviction. It has to come from a place of a sense of a calling. So I don't want this to be some kind of cakewalk, like, oh, just, just follow steps A through Z and you've got it covered. This is not that video, okay? This is just if you really feel convinced that this is what God wants you to do for your family. If you have that sense of conviction, then yes, this video is for you. If you're still kind of like, oh, I'm not sure I want to do it, I'm not really sure it's for me, I would say, yes, keep thinking about it, keep praying about it, because truly, truly, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of conviction. It has its highs and lows like everything else. So I would really encourage you that you are approaching this video from a place of um you have counted the cost. You have you have counted the cost, and you're ready. You've set out everything, like, all right, I've made up my mind, I want to do it, now tell me how to do it. So this video is for people that have made up their minds that they want to homeschool and that they're ready to homeschool. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to say. Then the second thing is, once you realize and once you've made up your mind that yes, this is for me, this is for our family, this is what we want to be doing in this season, because then again, some people start out homeschooling and then there comes a season in their lives as a family that they have to consider going back to a brick and mortar school. So, going schooling outside of the home. Homeschooling is instruction within the home, and then there's instruction outside of the home. And so some people, they're in a season of life where maybe just for various reasons, they have to do instruction outside of the home. Okay, so that's also okay, and no judgment. It's just we're all in different places in life, and um, it is what it is, right? Then the next thing is, I believe for the state of Maryland, you do have to notify your county, your Department of Education in your county. You do have to notify them, and it's called, I believe for some counties, it's called a notice of intent, or intent for home instruction. So in our county, I had to file this notice. I believe it's required to file it within 15 days before you start. No, you have to file it, and it has to be received and acknowledged 15 days before you start your home instruction. Okay, so if you think, okay, I'm going to be starting in August, say August 1st, right? You need to have had this filed by July 15th, thereabout, so that gives them time to process your information and have you in the system that you are doing home instruction and you are not enrolling in either your local elementary, middle, or high school, or you're not enrolling in a private school, because all of this data actually gets rolled up to the state or county, this county or state level. Okay, so that's the first thing. Contact your county. Typically, they have a link that you can just go on and enter the information in, and then fill that form out. On the intent to homeschool or intent for home instruction form, there are two options that you can select on that form. The first option is to have your own portfolio. So that means that you will track your own portfolio for that child, and the state, or should I say actually your county, will conduct your portfolio review. In the state of Maryland, when you homeschool, you do have the freedom to homeschool. However, the state still maintains the, I guess, the right to be able to have oversight or review what you are, making sure that you are tracking in terms of the requirements of core curriculum or core education for that child at that grade level. Does not mean that you cannot exceed whatever the core curriculum requirements are. It just means that for all intents and purposes, that child is not lacking behind. So that you're doing, for example, you're doing your language arts, you're doing your arithmetic, you're doing your social studies, you're doing your sciences. So that just means that, they're able to follow and track that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, so there's two routes to that. There is the county route, which is the county, your school district, actually does your portfolio review. And then there is the oversight. So basically, it could be, a lot of these are called umbrella programs. They're called umbrella programs because they provide oversight or portfolio review services, as well as other services that you might be interested in terms of an educational program, right? A lot of these include churches. Some churches provide oversight for homeschooling families. Some are actual schools, private schools, Christian schools, other religious schools that provide portfolio and homeschool oversight. Some of these could be a co op. So they vary in their, I guess, makeup and constitution, but the main idea is that they're non public and they are an educational entity, or maybe a religious entity that can provide that oversight over you as a homeschooling family. We went with an oversight program with a school or homeschooling program in the area. So we use them as our oversight umbrella program. And so the county does recognize that yes, we are homeschooling, and as part of the requirement to have a portfolio review, we are doing our portfolio review with that entity. And so going forward, every year we don't have to file that intent to homeschool form. We just re-enroll with that program, with that oversight program, that umbrella program. We just do an enrollment with them, and they do all of the reporting on our behalf. One of the benefits of the umbrella program that we are part of is that they do transcripts. So they maintain our transcript records. They do portfolio reviews, I believe, 3 times a year. And we also do get grades, record keeping. That we have our report cards, transcripts. We do have the ability to sign up for group classes with them. So if I wanted my daughters to sign up for a particular group class, they have the option to do that. I believe they do have a sports program as well. So as they get older and they want to get involved in maybe basketball or track and field, that could be an option for them. They do have graduation. So if when it is time for graduation, for example, high school graduation, they do have high school graduation ceremonies. They have prom. They have the whole, I guess you would call it, framework of a traditional school with the exception that the actual instruction of your curriculum and all of your classwork is done in the home setting. Okay, they also do field trips, so we can partake of that as we want to. So that is the second step, is identifying, filing your intent to home instruction, as well as then selecting what path you want to take in terms of your oversight, whether through the county or through a non-public entity. Once that is done, of course, identify your non-public entity, because at that point you should have already identified them. Do your enrollment with them, whatever that process looks like. I would say that the next step, or if not even before those, but it all depends on how you move. But the next step would be to find your curriculum. There are a few ways that people go about discovering curriculum. For our daughters, I immediately always knew that they were going to do a Becca. In fact, I chose the private schools that they went to based on the curriculum that those schools offered. I am a big, big fan of a Becca. I have seen how I just really admire the curriculum. I like how rigorous it is. I like how it challenges students. I want something challenging. I want something that makes my daughters want to stretch themselves, because I believe that when you set a bar high, then you can stretch to reach it. Not that we're perfectionists and everything has to be perfect, but then when I set the bar high for you, I'm expecting that you're growing to reach that, and not that I'm setting it so low and then you're not challenged, right? So I do enjoy the fact that it's a challenging curriculum. It is very I love the Christian worldview that it comes from. It's very grounded. It's a very, very grounded curriculum. It's tried and tested. It's been around for, I think, over 30 years. So it's a very, very tried and true, grounded curriculum. A lot of children that come from public school and go into a Becca have a hard time at the grade level. They actually have a hard time because a Becca is actually very advanced curriculum. So I knew from the onset that I wanted them to take a Becca in terms of curriculum. So that was an easier one for me to check off. I just knew immediately, and so I went online and began to research how to order the curriculum. For some others, there might be some other things that you can do, and I know there's some tests, for example, to discover whether or not your child is more of a sit down and watch a video type of learner, or more tactile type of learner, or so just learning your child's learning style, and then figuring out what curriculum actually complements, or um, kind of they can derive inspiration from, or works well with your child's learning style. I know that I'm saying all that, but then I already knew that my children were going to do a Becca, but I also found ways to make a Becca work. For example, my first daughter, I would say she's in between someone that can sit still and listen to instruction, as well as someone that needs to have something. She needs to have a fidget toy. She's tactile. She likes to work with her hands. So I found things for her to do, like, well, while you're watching a video on language arts, here's a fidget toy. Be busy with your hands, but at the same time, have your mind open and active to learn, right? So that's something to consider. There's a lot of curriculum out there. There's BJU Press. This is also Christian based, by the way. I'm not very familiar with a lot of secular curriculum. I'm sure there are many that are great out there. I've just been more focused on the Christian curriculum universe. And so there's a lot out there. I can't even begin to name them all. There's Apologia. There is, I believe there's another one I was really considering. If I remember, there's Memorial Press. There is BJU Press, I already mentioned. I believe there's a ton. There's a ton out there now. I know many years ago there didn't used to be so many options, but right now there's so many options. It is quite overwhelming, and so it takes a lot of you have to know you have to know your family, you have to know your needs. Are you going to be parent led? that's another thing to consider in terms of choosing your curriculum. For us, we're working parents. We work from home. I actually go into the office a few times a week, so I can't have the curriculum be parent led. It needs to be video instruction for us. They need to be able to watch a 30-minute video or 15-minute video and then do their worksheets. Okay, some people want parent led, some people want Montessori, some people want Charlotte Mason. There's just so many options. And so you have to know what works for you and what works for your family and then go from there. But the good news is there are options. Okay, and I think a good place to start from if you're looking to explore curriculum would be I think it's christianbooks.com actually has a lot of curriculum on their in their inventory that you can browse through and then just begin to kind of like check out and see if it works for you. This is not an ad for christianbooks.com, although I'm open to it, but just go check them out and you might be surprised what you find. All right, so now we've talked about curriculum. I would say the next thing is also preparing your child, having this discussion with your child. For us, we started to have this discussion as soon as we knew that we were considering it. We started to kind of like, hey, so we might be homeschooling you. Just how do you feel about that? Of course, she was like, okay, what does that look like? What does that mean? But it still helps to have that conversation. And also from time to time, have those conversations, not just a one and done deal. It's a continuous conversation. It's how am I doing as a homeschooling parent? What can we do better? And the beauty of homeschooling, the beauty of it is that it's a family thing. It's not a parent thing or a child thing. It's a family thing. And so I think it's something that you should have a discussion about as a family, right? How are we doing in homeschooling? I know for our daughter, when our first year when we started, I just started, honestly. I was like, all right, we have curriculum. We've notified all the all the parties that that need to be notified. We're good to go. We have our laptop and we're good to go. We have the videos, and I just set her up in the dining room and like, all right, go for it. And it kind of was working, but then after a while it was like it's not working because she needs a place that is not prone to heavy traffic. There's folks in the house, people are passing by, someone's getting lunch, someone's eating breakfast. It just felt very distracting for her. She felt like she needed her own space when in the house to feel like this is where I go to do schoolwork. And so that little, it may seem insignificant, like, oh, well, it's just changing location in the house, but it really made a difference when I set up her desk area and told her, all right, this is your homeschool desk and this is all of that. I mean, just the way her face lit up, I was like, oh, okay. And so, like, the following year, I actually went all out and bought like a proper desk and a proper, task chair and just a whole, and just to see that, like, um, space change actually improve her attitude towards it, or just her excitement, her motivation. It was very, very, I mean, it just really, really encouraged me. And so now when she's thinking of doing homeschool, she's taking ownership of it because she can come give me feedback and tell me, oh, mom, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that, and then it's like we can have a conversation about how are we doing it in our family, in our own context. So it's really a conversation to be having continually. It's a continuous improvement conversation. Oh, I would like to do more of this, I would like more of that. And so I said, okay, noted. When I see the opportunity, we'll take it. We'll do more of those activities that you want to do. So again, just to remind you to talk to your child or children, have this conversation as a family with your spouse, with your children, have it as a holistic family. How is this going to impact our family? Are we, and again, it's everyone pitching in, okay? Like it's not, oh, it's just mom's job. It's going to be mom's thing to homeschool, or it's going to be dad's thing to homeschool, or it's just you doing all your schoolwork. It's It's everybody in the mix and how we are. And that's the beauty of homeschool. It's that it's the family owning it. It's we're as a family doing it all together. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about it is that this is one time your family is going to keep bonding. You're going to keep bonding and bonding, and over time it's you see your children taking, I mean, they're taking ownership of the work. As they get older, you're not going to be so involved in their education, but then you would have already bonded and be able to have conversations about challenges, things that they need help with. So anyway, I say all of this to say, keep talking to your children about it before you start and while you're in the process. Okay. Um, we talked about curriculum, talking through it. And then, of course, there's the space. Where do you do the homeschool? So I mentioned how we started out in our dining room, and then now we've allocated space specifically for it in our house, and I'm going to do a tour of that in a separate video. But you may not have a space dedicated to homeschooling, and that's fine as well. But I think in the conversation of space for homeschool, it's about intentionality, not necessarily the look, the aesthetics of the space, but it's really about the intention. So when we first started, I think there wasn't much intention put behind the idea of the space. It was just kind of like, oh, here's a table, here's a chair, go do it. And then I realized, no, it didn't have intention behind it. So whether you're transforming your dining room to be your homeschool area, let it be intentional. Let it be that everyone knows that this is now the area where we do homeschool. It could be a corner of your bedroom, but let it now be known that this is now dedicated to homeschool. Not, oh, by the way, the cat could be in the corner over there, but we do homeschool there sometimes. So I think for me, I would say if you're going to be talking about space for homeschool, it's not so much about having a big old house and having a separate room for homeschool or having a separate whatever or a fancy desk, and it's just about being intentional. It's just about saying, this is what I'm going to be dedicating this space for, and we're going to honor that space as such, and we're going to maintain that space as such, and now everybody knows that this is what we use that space for. So I think that is all I'm going to cover in terms of how to. I think I have another video that actually goes into the more hows of, for example, setting up your calendar, setting up well, curriculum, and how we set that up for the school year. And so we have more videos coming to talk about all the various questions that people have been asking me. And I hope this video was very helpful. I hope that it's made your decision easier, hopefully, and that you are ready to get started on your journey. All right. Well, I will see you in my next video. Look out for more videos about our school area tour, our calendar, how we set up our school year, and then I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.